Earlier this week, we spoke with a local psychiatrist on the benefits of transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS, a non-invasive method using magnetic fields to treat things like depression when all else fails. Well, today, we welcome a Los Angeles-based licensed psychotherapist on the benefits and uses of neurofeedback, a fascinating therapy that helps rewire your brain. Let's welcome Scheherazade Collins, psychotherapist with Transformative Performance Psychology. Great to have you with us.
Thank you, Layla. It's great to be here too.
You know, I'm so curious. There's so many different names for these different types of therapies, the TMS, neurofeedback, biofeedback, which we're talking about with you today. What is the difference between neuro and biofeedback?
So, biofeedback is more the general umbrella term for any kind of measurement of your body's responses in real time. So, that can be anything from measuring your heart rate. People are using biofeedback and everyday methods without even realizing it. All these apps that we have that are tracking your heart rate, tracking your breathing, your oxygen levels, all those things. The difference between that and neurofeedback is neurofeedback only focuses on the brain and the brain waves that are happening in real time.
Okay, and how do you apply neurofeedback, and who would be your typical client that could benefit from this type of therapy?
So I got into the field by working with performing artists and athletes, people in competitive fields that want to improve their performance. However, my first job was actually in a clinic working with specifically children with attention disorders like ADHD and also other neurodiverse populations like autism spectrum disorder. Um, Anxiety, depression, but mostly focusing on ASD and on ADHD and behavioral problems. But it can be, I see a variety of patients from people who are suffering from PTSD or anxiety or addiction. And again, like I said, just people who want to break open their game and perform at a higher level, whether it's just getting rid of intrusive thoughts or something.
Yeah, so what do? You hook someone up to a machine and you ask them a series of questions, and then at what point do you then try to, I guess, is it change the wave and its reaction to whatever is stimulating it?
The neurofeedback is purely reading and then translating what it's reading. Like I'll see the squiggly lines on the screen of the brainwaves, but my client will see a picture or a puzzle or even a movie on a DVD, and the feedback will be maybe the DVD gets blurry when they're not in producing the brainwaves I want them to produce, or if it's like an animation, like a puzzle, like the pictures will start falling in and revealing the picture under the puzzle as they continue to produce the brainwaves through self-regulation rather than something else trying to stimulate your brain by putting in a pulse or something like that.
I see. So something that triggers your client, and then you see how their brain reacts depending on whatever wave you get out of that stimulation or that trigger. And then if it's adverse and you want to improve it, what does the client then need to do to improve their reaction to whatever they're being triggered by?
The first step that we do is we always do a brain map, which is called a QEEG or quantitative EEG. Through that, we already identify what's happening in their baseline and their resting states. Through that and through other diagnosis processes, we're able to figure out what we already want to be improving or inhibiting. For example, if a client comes to me saying, I have ADHD, and I do a brain map, I'll find that they probably fall under one of the four subtypes of ADHD. So maybe they're producing too much theta and not enough beta. That's a very common form. And so I will set up their specific software to say, I want to measure specifically the beta and the theta I'll get their resting states, and then I'll start. It's kind of like doing limbo, where you
Mm,
start high and then you kind of move the bar down. It's
okay.
like with the theta, I'll train it that way. So I start it with a little threshold, and I say, every time you get it under that,
Hmm.
you're going to get feedback.
I
And when
see.
you don't, you're not getting feedback. So their brain starts to learn, okay, I want to lower it and lower it.
Interesting. All right. Well, we just have a couple of seconds left. And so, for clients who have one of these cases, they would be good candidates then for bio or neurofeedback. And is this sort of a first line of defense? Because this is also in place of medication in many cases. So, at what stage through the process of therapy do you then happen upon this type of solution, this type of treatment?
That's a good point. A lot of people will come to me when they've tried medication already, and either they've had an adverse effect, or they're intolerant of medication, or the medication just isn't working.
Mm,
And we are able to identify maybe it was the wrong type of medication. Um, or maybe they'll do it in conjunction with
I
neurofeedback
see.
and then taper off medication.
Very interesting. I guess everybody is different. Everyone has a different need. Scheherazade Collins,
Absolutely.
this has been so fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you for having me.
We're back after this.